If you plan to retire but don't know where to start, or maybe you started planning for retirement but now you're going down some rabbit hole and you don't know what questions to ask, then this is going to be the video for you. Today I'm going to explain the main things that you're going to want to know so you can take control of your future in a very simple way. So whether you're just starting off or getting ready to wrap things up, this video is going to give you just the main pieces of information that you need to know to help smooth everything out for you. So first and foremost, as a state employee, the number one thing you need to know first is how your pension works. I can't tell you how many times that I've talked to people that didn't know they had a pension, didn't know how their pension worked with advisors for the entire life, and the advisors didn't know how they worked, and they thought they were going to be broke, and they ended up, having more money than they thought they would, simply because nobody really understood their pension. So step one is to figure out which pension plan you're on. Is it TERS, PERS, SERS, and what number is it? Is it a plan 2 or is it a plan 3? That alone gets you miles ahead of most people when they sit down to start doing their financial planning. All of those plans have different rules and eligibility requirements and such, but at least knowing and doing research of which plan you're on, getting an idea of how it works, will go a long way in helping you feel more confident heading into your retirement plans. I've done a full video breakdown on every single pension plan that Washington State offers. It's in our Washington Breakthrough community, which is a free retirement course. You can get access to that free course by just clicking the link below and joining for free. Once you get your pension figured out, the next thing is figuring out your income needs. How much money do I actually need to survive on? There's a difference between need and want, and ideally you want to cover both. So it's important to sit down and look at your expenses and figure out how much money am I currently spending right now. So just do a quick inventory, what goes out the door today. Then you're going to take away anything that will be gone by the time you're retired. So if the house is going to be paid off before you retire, remove the house or the mortgage payment from that. Remember, you still got to pay your insurance and your taxes on it. So you're not going to save the full mortgage payment you're used to making, but a significant portion of it will now be gone when the home's paid off. So any expenses that are falling off, take that off of your needs. Next, you want to add back in any type of expenses that are coming on. Number one that comes up is going to be healthcare. Remember that healthcare before 65 is pretty expensive. After 65, the cost cuts into about half. So take a quick note of what you're currently spending now, take away anything that'll be gone in the future, and then add back in healthcare, and that'll give you a rough idea of how much money you're going to need to survive on. Now, if you come up with a number like, hey, it's $5,000 a month, and you went through the last section and you're like, hey, my pension's only $4,000 a month, now we're $1,000 a month short, so there's going to be a little bit more planning needs to be done. Good news is your Social Security will probably take care of that, but that's just an example to get you guys going. Next, you want to look at is building your buckets. So we talked about your pension and your income strategies. The part that people focus way too much on is the investment world. There's advisors that all they do is investment planning, but if you're trying to do this on your own, it's important to understand what a bucket is. So when I say buckets, it's just sectioning off your assets so they each have their own purpose inside your account. So if you've got money in, say, plan 3, for example, you might look at it as just one account. You want to change your lens and look at it as 3 separate pockets. You want to see how much do I have in cash, how much are in bonds or income producing assets. What we're looking for here is something that's a little bit lower risk, not risk free, but just lower risk. So it's going to grow a little bit, but if the market dumps, we shouldn't lose a ton of it. And then we want to have our growth section. So it's up to you to figure out how much you want to put in each of those categories, and finding that right blend is a really critical step, especially if you plan on spending down this money for income in the future. You want to make sure you have enough years set up in the cash side. So if and when the market dumps on us, we don't have to freak out because we have enough in our cash reserves to keep funding our income needs in the future. Next thing to look at are things like Roth conversions. This is more of an advanced tax strategy. I bring it up because it comes up in almost every one of my meetings. A lot of people are doing the research or just hearing these terms out there, and they think because they hear Roth that Roth means good, therefore they should do it. Remember that Roth, it's only good when it's done with intention and purpose behind it. You convert when the time is right, not just because you think it's going to be a good idea or because you heard it somewhere else and you want to do that or make yourself feel special. It's remember, finance is personal, so you want to do things when they work in your best favor for you. And doing this can easily save you thousands of dollars in taxes over the long run, but it's important to do it at the right time for the right reasons and do it in the right way. Next is looking at your outside assets like deferred comp, 403Bs, IRAs, things like that. It's important when you look at this money is don't just think of it as a free side pot that you can kind of spend willy-nilly on it, because this money, remember that anytime you have a transaction, there's going to be some type of tax consequence for it. So I've seen people take big wads of money out of this, not knowing or realizing how much taxes they're going to end up owing, and then they get hit with a big tax bill in April, plus late fees because they didn't pay taxes on time. So it's important to understand the tax consequences of your other retirement assets, and understand these accounts are here to work with your pension, but not just a random pot of money that you can kind of spend willy-nilly whenever you want to. Remember, when it comes to retirement accounts, it's not like any other type of DIY project you may have done around the house, where if something breaks or goes wrong, you can always, undo it, buy a new part, or something like that. A lot of these things that once their mistake is made, it's made. They're irrevocable. We can't go back and undo a Roth conversion. We can't fix a tax mistake if we wait too long to address it, or if it's the wrong type of mistake. So it's important to understand what your options are and what the consequences are of the mistakes before moving forward with them. Taking money out too soon, investing too conservative because you're scared of the market are some really common mistakes that I see people make all the time. Now, if you retire before 65, healthcare is going to be another really big area that you want to look at. Fortunately for you guys, if you're in the SEB system or the PEBB system, you're going to have PEBB retiree coverage as an option to continue on for your healthcare needs. It's going to cost more than what you were paying when you're covered by employer, but the coverage level and the amount of support you get is pretty much unmatched. I've had a lot of happy clients in PEBB over the past decade. The key point here is when it comes to PEBB retiree coverage, you need to enroll in it. It's not something that they automatically put you in. And if you wait too long, 60 days after you retire, the application closes and you can no longer get into the system. So it's important that you fill out the PEBB retiree application before you separate service, or before 60 days have passed after separating service, just so you can at least lock in your coverage. Doesn't mean you have to take the PEBB coverage right away. You at least have to put in the application to say, hey, keep me eligible for the future. I'm currently covered for my spouse, whatever, I need coverage, whatever the case is. But everybody needs to file the application, whether you intend to start PEBB right now or down the road, at least for the sheer purpose of preserving your eligibility. Healthcare is probably the number one reason why I see people working longer than they should. It is a big expense. With the right plan and strategy, it can be seen as just as any other obstacle that you can work around it as long as you've got the right strategy for it. Next area to look at is Social Security. The question of when should I take it comes up all the time. If you ever look up into any kind of calculators, I've bought calculators for advisors on how to maximize your client's Social Security, and they all do the same thing. It's all wait to 70 because that's the highest payout. Highest payout means more money equals good. However, I'm sure you guys can all agree that more money doesn't always equal better. That yeah, you could wait till age 70 and get a lot more money, but you've already wasted all the good earlier years in your retirement, and for what, a couple $100 a month or so. So looking at it as I have to wait till 67 or 70 to take it isn't usually the right lens. It's what can I do with that money now that's going to make my life more enjoyable. If getting less money now means I can travel more, go on more adventures, spoil grandkids, whatever it is, then by all means do it. If that's what's going to bring you joy, then do that. You don't want to be the guy sitting in the retirement home in your 80s and bragging about how you wait till 70 and you got $1,000 more a month than everybody else, when at the end of the day, we know that nursing home's taking every bit of your Social Security check anyways. Next topic is getting your estate plan in order. Everybody over the age of 18 needs to have an estate plan in place. Now, the estate plan is not some big elaborate thing that you need to pay an attorney for thousands of dollars and get all these trusts and weird things set up. It's simply you need a will, power of attorneys, and your beneficiary forms updated. Beneficiary forms, if you just get that much done, you're 80% of the way there. That controls most of your money anyways. So as long as you have the right person and the right type of beneficiaries listed in your accounts, you're most of the way there with your estate plan. Wills, you can pay someone for it, or you can write down a piece of paper. Really all it is who gets what when I pass away that doesn't have a beneficiary attached to it, right? Who gets my computer, who gets my car, that type of thing. That's what the will does. It's more of your personal property, not your money. Power of attorney, now this is the important part. The power of attorney is basically who you give permission to make decisions on your behalf, whether it be for financial or for medical. And you can list different people or multiple people for each one. Remember that when you have adult children, the moment they turn 18 or 19, you are no longer their legal guardian. Therefore, if they get hurt and they need help, the bank isn't required to listen to you when you're trying to help take money out of their accounts. They don't have to listen to you for medical decisions. They're now their own person. So it's important that they have you listed down as a medical power of attorney on their paperwork. Now, most of them will probably want that anyways, but far often I see people not do this. I have people in their 50s and 60s that don't have this done, and it's so important to get it done because at any point, doctors could also refuse taking orders from a spouse or from a family member because you don't have them listed on the paperwork. And with all the lawsuits and the suit happy country we live in, it's understandable to see why that might be the case. Washington isn't as bad as other states I've heard of, but it's just a good step to get done is get some type of estate planning documents set in place. The next thing I want you guys to understand is that confidence isn't about having more, it's about knowing what to do. Having a certain amount of money doesn't mean you made it. or that it's all going to work out. It's all about knowing what to do. You could retire with $1 million in the bank, but if you've got no plan or thought of how things work, you could easily blow through that like that and it's all gone and be stressed about money again. Whereas I've seen clients retire with under $200,000 to their name, and they're one of the happiest people we talk to on the phone. They've got a plan in place that works for them, they're living the life that they like, and it all works out great. So it's not about how much money we have saved, it's about what the plan can do with that money to make it work for you. So it's important not to keep tracing arbitrary numbers like I can't retire until I have X amount of dollars saved, and it's more like I have X amount of dollars saved, what can I do with it now? Or better yet, if you start early, it's I want to do this, how much money do I need to have saved in order to do this? The earlier you plan, the easier it is. Waiting to talk to an advisor the year you retire and then saying, this is what I got, what can I do with it? It's really going to limit your options versus calling them 10 years ahead of time so they can direct you the right way. So by the time you get to retirement, you're going to be set up a lot more efficiently or end up with more money overall. Now, my last topic is understanding that the mistake that most DIY retirement or investors make is that when I do things myself, I'm saving money. I'm not paying for the advisor or paying for a plan. I'm saving that 1% fee. I'm saving a couple $1,000s. I can buy the same stocks or investments they can. They do nothing anyways. That's one of the most arrogant things that I've ever heard someone say. And if you think about it this way, is that a good plan costs less than a bad mistake. When you're going through things for the first time, you're bound to make mistakes. And retirement, there's not a lot of ways for you to undo or enough time to make up for those type of mistakes. So the same way a good plan can make up for a bad mistake, the same thing can be said that a good set of tires is cheaper than ending up in a ditch somewhere or worse. And while you probably could DIY your own tires and save all that money and not have to buy stuff from Schwab or anything like that, the fact is probably safer, better, and cheaper in the long run to go ahead and pay the experts for the product they make so they can do their job properly for you. So unless you want to be your own CFO, spending all this time doing research and stuff, it's probably not going to work out for the best when you're trying to do things yourself. Now, it's not to say you need an advisor right off the bat, but at some point in time, it's good to consult somebody to at least get their opinion on things before you move forward with it. Now, all in all, the important message is you can't figure out your retirement just from watching a 15-minute YouTube video, but it's a really important start. If you want to go deeper and to see how all of this stuff applies to you as a Washington employee, then join my free course. The link is going to be in the description below, where I break this down even further, give you real life examples of how things work for people. That way you can get a better sense of how to do things on your own in the correct fashion. I look forward to seeing you guys over there. And until next time, remember that your future depends on what you do today.